I'm Coach Ant.
I'm Coach T, and we're some fans that know some.
And today we have a special edition, our AFC North edition, where we are bringing in fans to represent their teams, diehard fans from the AFC North.
Yes,
so
sir.
we're going to get it cracking first. I got my boy Ryan here representing the Bengals. Got my guy Jay representing the Ravens. And of course, we got Coach T representing the Steelers. So you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's dive in. What you got?
Let's get it. Yeah, man. So welcome to the show, guys. I want to start with the Ravens fan. I'm coming at you this time. Right?
Good place to start. Start
Yes,
at the top,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I hate to admit this. Ravens have been a perennial powerhouse in the AFC North, right? Is this the year that they're going to win the Super Bowl? I don't think so, but go ahead. Give your take on that.
Winning the Super Bowl is tough.
Right.
When's the last AFC North team to win the Super Bowl? It's the Ravens in 2012. You know, since he somehow got there for a minute, didn't happen.
That's been a long time ago.
But winning Super Bowls is tough, especially in the era of Mahomes.
Yeah.
And we came out of the era of Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's tough.
Okay.
And to say, my team's going to win the Super Bowl, no. There is no magic 8-ball that gets you there.
Okay.
It's a tough season. It's a long season.
That's fair.
Now, are they going to be in position? Yes. Are they going to make the playoffs? Yes. Is it going to be a tough road? Yes. All those things are yes. But they've got the team. They didn't lose a lot, and they're doing what they can to build. I have ultimate faith in Eric DeCosta. I have ultimate faith in Ozzie. Always have. They've always been able to draft well. They've always been able to build well.
Okay. That's a good take there. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Like how just watching that last game, because even from the outside, I'm watching that game and how it ended. Like as a Ravens fan, how did that feel for the game to end that way in the last playoff game?
It felt like a lot of playoff games for the Ravens. I mean, the year before that, a Flowers fumble ended it. And then you had a Snoop drop the ball on the goal line against Cincinnati, and you have a lot of near misses.
Yeah.
But that's NFL.
Yeah.
That's football.
Game of inches.
And the only thing you can demand of your team is get yourself to that point.
Yeah.
Get to the playoffs. Get yourself built so you're ready to go. It hurt.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews doesn't drop balls.
Yeah.
And
it was at his feet, though. I have to, just to be fair.
Yep. It was at his knees. I mean, it wasn't it was a catchable ball. It was a Mark Andrews catchable ball.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And it hurts. But, do the Ravens beat Kansas City? I don't know.
Yeah.
We lost to Buffalo. Buffalo couldn't do it against KC.
Yeah.
KC's been anointed and blessed. Whatever you want to say about the zebras
constantly.
out there helping them.
Constantly.
Who cares? But they've been able to pull it together as a
Yeah.
team.
Yep.
And then, all of our teams need to pick up a little bit of that mojo and be able to move forward.
Got you. Yeah, man, that's cool. Me, I would have said, yeah, we're going to win the Super Bowl, but thanks for your take on that. We'll move forward to the Bengals now. All right. I don't want to ask you a football question because I can't stand the Bengals, but since I have to,
Shots fired.
Bengals have a June 30th deadline to extend that lease up there in that stadium over there. Implications of a possible move.
Yeah.
Will you remain a loyal Bengals fan
100%.
if they move?
If they move.
Even if they move.
So you're going to be a St. Louis Bengals fan?
Whatever. But reports came out the other day that they're in pretty hard talks and negotiations to get that approved. So it sounds like it's going to go through.
Okay.
Yep.
Good man.
Yep.
I'll stay on you for a little bit, put you in the hot seat.
All right.
T. Higgins, Jamar Chase.
Yep.
There was some stress there in the offseason. You guys finally got the deals done. You don't have anything to worry about there.
Right.
Let's talk about where the focus is now. Like, how do you think that puts your team in a great position to focus on winning games and getting to the top of the AFC North?
Yeah, for sure. So like we just talked about, game of inches, right?
Yeah.
Seven games last year they lost by less than a score, less than a touchdown.
Yeah.
3 of those, I believe, came on the last play of the game.
Yep.
Right? You got both starting corners out before week 5.
Yeah.
You had your big D-tackle acquisition in Sheldon Rankins, who somehow managed to catch meningitis and played 2 games all year. Right? We were banged up.
Yeah.
So, like, is the sky falling? No. They do have to find ways to get better at the beginning of the season because for some reason under Zach, they start slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? And even week 1, I remember telling my son, like, the game's going to come back and get us.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Came down to the one win.
Yeah.
And didn't happen. So, you know,
You guys see.
I like where we're at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does a slow start put your coach in jeopardy?
This year, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think the 5 straight wins to end the season last year
Mhm.
Yeah.
kind of took it off of him a little bit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want to put it all on the defense.
Mhm.
I mean, early in the year, like Joe made some costly turnovers late that cost us. As
Yeah.
good as he was,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
The Ravens game, the Chiefs game,
Mhm.
late turnovers cost us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
That's true. Yeah.
I'm personally not taking any quarterback in the league over Joe, but I'm just saying, like, he made some mistakes too. So
Yeah.
we can't put it all on the D.
Right.
We can't put it all on coaching.
Right.
Players got to make plays, and that's just how it is. So
Yeah. So we'll pivot. We'll pivot to me, right?
Okay.
I'll read a question from the fans.
all right.
Fans, I'm going to answer a question that y'all submitted. Question is, Steelers are running out of excuses, right? We've lost OC. We've lost a few quarterbacks.
Mhm.
Tons of free agency moves, hit or miss.
Yeah, it's been a lot of hit and miss.
Hit and miss in
A lot
free
of hit and
agency.
miss.
But the question is, Mike Tomlin, the Steelers organization kryptonite? My answer to that is no. I say no because a coach, his responsibility is the coach. He's not out there making plays, but he is on the hook
Mhm.
to put his players in the best position, and I think he has failed there. I will admit that.
Yep.
But as far as a kryptonite, no. We have the best coach possible at this point in time, but I will say if he doesn't make splash, as he would say in his words this year, I'm not opposed to a change.
I think I would like to think or hear what everyone think about this. Do you sense a level of complacency when you watch the Steelers play and how they go about?
I will say this:
Mhm.
that last game of the season against Cincy, you can't sit here and tell me that Pickens wasn't deliberately dropping balls.
Oh yeah,
And that has been an issue with Tomlin. He's always had somebody a problem. You had AB for years.
Mhm.
You know, now you got him. Who'd you have before that? A running back. You sat out a year.
Le'Veon.
Le'Veon.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been an issue,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Well, and Harris was unhappy, and
Well,
he went off for free agency.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the thing, right? Every team has a something.
Yeah.
You know, T.O. was a something in Dallas. He was a something in
But
San
they just
Francisco.
listed a
T.O.
lot
but-
of something.
but wait a minute,
Never
wait
win,
a lot
of
never win the big
But
ones.
look at Tomlin's history of releasing players, one-trick ponies, right? He spoke up. I'll let guys leave. We're known for signing guys late draft to be able to replace whoever we lose. So it's not about trying to keep the player. He's trying to keep the player, the organization intact for that season.
Okay.
So I will defend him there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I won't say that he's, just bringing in a culture of, issues or whatever. Guys are making their own decisions. He lets them move on. That's proven. We had Claypool. Was supposed to be a big play receiver. He came in. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. Where is he at?
No, I
You know what I
get it,
mean?
but
I'm just saying. It's both sides now. You can't
it's both
you just can't say.
But I'm
he's doing
thinking, okay, not bringing in those problem childs, but I think what Ryan is alluding to is at some point a problem child gets created. So at what point is that the responsibility or being created by some of the behind the scenes with the coach? I don't know. I don't
in
know.
AB's defense, I think Burfict gave him CTE. So
that's fine. But at the same time, being a
that's
coach,
a whole different.
Being a player's coach is difficult. It puts you in different situations. You have to handle them. How you see fit. You're trying to keep media from entering your locker room and causing issues. let the media talk. We'll deal with it from within. I don't have to be as outspoken about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But his record shows guys are out of there when they don't fit the organization, right?
As a biased observer, but I'm a huge fan of Steelers. They have a well-run organization.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are at an inflection point where they need to change their dynamic of what the Steelers are.
Absolutely. I agree.
Defense focused, pound, and kind of worry about the quarterback and the player positions a little bit after that. That might have to change.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
I think Tomlin can take that team there. He's a good player coach.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets the most out of his players. He calms down some of their tendencies and is able to get them focused. But I think the organization needs to kind of flip a switch and say, let's get more skill positions.
I agree.
Let's get a quarterback who can throw down the field.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But not a 40-year-old quarterback who can throw the field, but a 22-year-old quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they thought they were going to get that with, Pickett. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
And
Pickett's defense, the
I don't know how much chance they gave him.
the offensive coordinators lately have been really atrocious. The play calling.
Yeah.
Come on now, anybody can see that. So what do you expect a guy like him to do when you're being put in positions where you're at second and 13 after a toss play that loses 5 yards on first down? Does that make sense? You haven't run a toss play consistently since Pop Warner, right?
And you had plays this year with Wilson throwing the ball.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying this year we have a different coordinator,
different Steelers ball.
Right.
Let me end with this, and then we'll pivot. I will say Pickens, to me, is an option in the draft to get rid of him, to move back up in the draft. That's how I feel. And I'll leave that at that.
Ooh.
But the next point I want to make is I've said, check the record, go back and look at my takes, go back and look at former episodes. I said, if the organization does not change their ways, from the defense that we run since Dick LeBeau, you can't, a 34 defense consistently, you're getting your main guys like J.J. Watt beat up now because Cameron Hayward cannot maintain double teams for a full game to keep those guys off of him so he can do what he's paid for. Mm-hmm. So we'll keep it like that. Is he the kryptonite? No. Do changes need to be made within from top down? I'm talking about Rooney on down. Mm-hmm. How much, I've said this before, how much loyalty is too much? So we'll find out. We'll find out after this season. I've said if this is the season, if we don't do it, we'll see.
We'll see.
But we'll pivot again, right? We'll pivot back to you, Ravens fan. You're a Ravens fan today. That's what you'll be known as. So let's talk about social media and how they steer narrative, right? Where I'm going with this is Lamar Jackson in social media has been personified as a person who will not get the Ravens over the hump. So my question is, what is your take on that narrative? You're at the games, you're seeing them live. You know what you see on the field. Is the narrative correct? Is he the guy?
He is the guy.
Okay.
There's no one who can dazzle you like him, who can put a dagger in your heart like him.
Mm-hmm.
Having Henry with him is fantastic because they can both just stab you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative, I don't know how political you want me to get, but it's absolutely unfair.
Okay.
He's a young black quarterback.
Yep.
And he gets held to a different standard.
Yep.
And it's bullshit.
Yep.
It's not right. And, and it's been that way since he came on board. He has done nothing but light up numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of wins. A couple injuries at the end of the season just because he kept putting everything on his back.
Gotcha.
This was probably one of his healthiest seasons of the year because he had Henry to take the blows.
Yeah.
And he looked fantastic. Now, I go back to the very beginning of this where I said winning a Super Bowl is hard.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not an easy thing. Unless your name's Brady, Manning, or Mahomes, it's hard to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really think that everybody's got to back off a little bit. He puts enough pressure on himself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one who takes the game more serious. No one who takes wins and losses more serious. Yeah. And no one who treats themselves more serious and has off-season regiment. You don't hear stories about him out doing anything bad on the off-season.
Yeah,
that's true.
the worst thing that happened is he's playing, on asphalt with kids and, and
Yeah.
youth and looking like he's having fun. But I kind of hate that narrative about him not being able to get him over the hump because it's like, it's not fair. It's not fair to be tossing that on him.
Gotcha.
And it's not just because he hasn't won a Super Bowl. There's other reasons why people are doing that.
Yeah.
And get that stuff out of it.
Yeah.
Let's evaluate him on his talent and what he's providing, what he's
Right.
putting out there.
I don't know. He does have Derrick Henry behind him running the ball, though. So
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Piggyback off that. It's just not him. I mean, Joe Burrow gets hated on more than probably anyone in the league. Just for what? Because he plays in Cincy?
He's pretty. He's real pretty.
Yeah. He's a baller, too. So, like, I guess my point is you got these quarterbacks making these crazy dollars.
Mhm.
They're going to get held to these standards, and they're going to get criticized. And when you got a 2-time MVP that shows up in the playoffs, not so much.
Ooh, throwing
That's
out
going to happen, man.
MVP.
It's going to happen.
Okay. You done whining now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm done.
Cool. So we'll pivot to you as a Browns fan.
Okay.
I'll give you a chance to speak on your Browns. They have a lot of holes to fill, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can they do to give you the confidence that they're moving the organization in the correct direction?
All right. Well, before I dive into that, I would just say first, I do like the direction from a culture standpoint because that's the biggest thing with our culture. Just making sure you have that winning culture. I think the fans are so thirsty for when sometime that misery kicks in and you hear misery,
Yeah.
and they don't even take the opportunity to enjoy the path of being on the verge. And I wonder if some of the players get affected by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Being in that environment
Yeah.
within that city and just because they're human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But before I dive into that, I have another Browns fan I would like to answer that question.
Is there
All right.
rules about how many of you can have in a
God,
room?
This can't
Well,
be
what,
two Brown fans in one day. I can't do it, man. I can't.
Get ready to do it.
Oh,
Come
my
on,
God.
Ken. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How's everybody doing?
Hey, there we go. He's ready.
There's-
He's ready.
They're a special group.
Yeah. Hey, the world needs special people.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Browns fan.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Steelers.
yeah. So I'm gonna repeat the question. Browns have a lot of holes to fill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver, running back, you name it. What can they do? What can the organization do to make you feel comfortable that they're moving the organization in the right direction at this point in time?
Honestly, I think the Browns' biggest issue as far as going in the right direction is health. Just like the Bengals points, you talk about their injuries. We were 2 times that.
Yeah.
We started off the season. We didn't even make it out of the preseason with half our line out. We went into the first game of the season with 1 starting lineman.
Okay. So you're saying that plug those lineman holes and get some guys in there that can help out on the line.
We actually have some depth.
Okay.
We have depth, and and I know everybody gets sick of hearing it. And as Browns fans, you get sick of saying it. Yeah, and you just want to see it come to life. On paper and on roster, there is no reason, there's no excuse for us to have that we can't compete with everybody else in the league. When we are healthy, when we do play the playbook how it's supposed to be, we show that. And honestly, if you look at any of the Browns games, if you're a Super Bowl contender, we play Super Bowl ball. It's the sorry teams that I worry about.
Okay.
I don't worry about the Bengals, the Ravens. Honestly, I don't worry about the Eagles. And I'm not, we've lost those games, but at the same time, those are the teams I really feel confident that we can win. But we have to stay healthy. It gets drug around, but it's truth.
Yeah.
When your line goes down, I don't care who you have. I agree. Great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You're finally with us with the quarterback.
Oh,
but,
yeah. That we have some
ever since
issues.
Big Ben's been gone.
Yeah.
But I don't care who you have back there. I don't care what secondary you have. If you do not have no blocking and no protection in there, you move nowhere. And our offense showed that last year. I think a big game for us was 20 points. We averaged like 10.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good take, man. What do you feel like your Ravens can do to make you feel like hey, we're moving in the right direction. I saw that you guys made a good move, here recently. I won't speak on that yet. We'll talk about it in the next segment. But what's going to give you confidence that they're going to continue to move in this right direction? No, my towel stays.
So it's, you're talking about the injury conversation. Ravens were very lucky on offense to be, healthy for most of the season.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can continue that. Our defensive secondary was just, who's ready to go? We were grinding through that Cleveland game. We were on up in Cleveland. We were on third and fourth string D-backs who didn't know how to catch a ball.
Yeah.
If it was thrown to them. Winston was trying to help them out, but they kept dropping everything. And I think focusing on secondary, getting depth.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
we can be next man up.
Yeah.
It's going to, it's the AFC North.
Yeah.
We hurt each other.
Yeah. Black and blue division for sure.
We hurt each other. So our players are going to get injured.
Yeah.
They're going to be out for weeks here and there. But we got to have a level of depth. You have to have that somebody who can come in or move from, tackle to guard to tackle, be able to go from safety to corner if they need to. And it's hard. It's real hard. It's hard to build out enough of the organization, especially with the salary cap.
Yeah. Bengals, what can your organization do to
Faster start?
Be comfortable? Faster start. That's it. Okay.
We need guards to protect Joe a little bit more.
Okay.
He's proven with bad O lines he can do stuff, but I just want to see him one year with a top 10 O line and see what he could do. So faster start, build that O line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I worry about him taking so many hits.
Yeah.
I do like Joe.
Yeah.
But he's taking a lot of punishment.
A lot of hits.
And he's going to get old quick.
Yeah.
And that's, that if he slows down, that's his game. He's got to be fast, got to have quick throws.
Yep.
And
I agree.
You don't want him to take any more hits.
Right.
So I want to pivot back to the Browns really fast. Quarterback situation, right? Deshaun Watson obviously going to be out.
Let's not mention
another time.
I agree with that.
A long time.
Let's move on.
Kenny Pickett, you just brought him in. How do you feel he will fit in your organization?
He'll start against the Steelers.
He'll start against the Steelers.
Yeah, I think so. No, Kenny Pickett, it's right now we have two veterans. I think we still need to go out and get a young QB. Is there one in this class that I think is day one ready? No, out of any of them. But the veterans in there, I think Kenny Pickett will get a fair chance to start. We went out and got that 40-year-old, but he showed flashes in Cleveland. At the end of the day, honestly, I don't think I get it. I would love to have a Burrow, a Jackson, everybody would. The top QBs are Mahomes. But the reality side of that is you don't necessarily have to have that guy to win it all. That's been proven multiple times. Teams have those guys and aren't winning. So I don't necessarily now, the quarterback, he is generally the highest paid on the roster. They do deserve all that criticism they get. You're the highest paid. You're going to get that. Comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But do you have to have that to be successful and get there? I don't think so. I think a lot of that comes with coaching. We've seen Detmer did it, with the Ravens, but their defense took them there.
Yeah.
A lot of people say I'm an offensive guy, but a lot of people say defense wins you championships.
Yeah.
I believe that too.
Definitely makes it easier.
It makes it easier.
Yeah.
But
sure.
That being said, you have to have an offense. Okay, we can hold a team to 10 points, but can you at least get me 20 points?
Yeah.
Your offense does have to have a responsibility.
Yeah.
With the quarterback situation with us, I still say we have to get that line together first.
Okay.
I don't care who you have back there. If you can give him protection, I think, and once you're a pro, you can pick anybody apart if you have that time.
Yeah.
If you have assistance with a running back, you can get that.
Yeah.
I believe anybody wants their on my team.
Yeah. I got you.
I think Pickett has done enough. He's got a winning record.
Okay. I mean, if you like it, I love it.
Better than Watson.
We will be looking forward to Pickett starting, just to let you know. But I want to pivot. Ant, I need you back. Let's talk round one, man. Round one of the draft.
We're gonna double team.
Yeah, that's why I brought, two towels, two fans. Yeah, put it together. So, first round, I'll start with Bengals fan. Are you excited about what they've done so far for this first round?
Yeah, we needed to build. We needed a DN or opposite Trey. They went out and got that. Does he have the flashy sack numbers? No. But if you watch him on tape, the dude is disruptive. He's 6'5", 270, ran a 4.5 at the combine. I mean, he's a freak, right? I think getting him under Al Golden.
Listen at him, knowing his team, knowing his picks. I hear
Get him under Al Golden. I think the dude's going to be. I think he's going to be a double-digit guy in sacks every year.
Okay,
I like the pick.
Okay, good. Ravens fan, are you excited about what your team has done so far, round one?
We drafted a Raven last night.
Okay,
Safety.
Malachi Starks. Okay, yeah.
Kid had the greatest video of the night because it looks so wholesome, so good. He has a youth program he's already started up while he's in college.
Okay,
and fantastic.
Yeah,
and he fits. He fits the Eric DaCosta mold of what he's looking for a player coming out of college. We need a safety. Having him and Hamilton between free and strong, it's going to be nasty. It's going to be great. We've got a young quarterback we drafted, or cornerback we drafted last year. So I'm happy with the secondary.
good.
We need depth,
Yep.
but I'm happy with the secondary.
Yeah, cool.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Good take, man. I'll pivot to my team, the Steelers. We went D tackle. They went with the prediction. Was I a fan? I hate to be the only one to say no. I felt like D tackle was about 3-4 rounds deep. We could have we passed Will Johnson. There was a need at cornerback. We passed Omarion Hampton. We need another running back. I mean, that on my board, Omarion Hampton was the pick for me. That would have made me happy. So did we get a good guy? Yeah, but that just pivots back to, are we going to still be in that stale 34 defense with no switch up, always having a 3 tech in a 1 tech on either side? I mean, I don't know how much that helps us right out the gate. I felt like we could have went later, but
looked like a looking backwards kind of take, not a looking forward to the new team that you want to build.
Exactly. Perfect. So Browns fans, dual threat here. Are you guys happy with your first round?
I am. Been chewing off of what you said. I think there were some bigger needs. Obviously, offense is our issue. I think our defense is still strong. They hit a weak spot, at the beginning of the season last year.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer too. If you can have the best secondary in the world, but if you can't get no pressure on a QB, I don't care who you have back there, they will eat that secondary up.
Yeah.
You give them time, they can't stay with them guys that long.
Yeah.
So it starts up front. I think we got one of the top D tackles in there. Not a Michigan fan, but I will take that player any day of the week.
Yeah.
Graham, talk about a beast. I think out of all the D tackles everybody took, we got the top one.
For sure. Yeah.
Graham fits the Browns. He fits that dog mode.
Yeah.
He's a dog. And I think that next to Miles, our defense is pretty much intact. Our secondary's tight.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help it. I mean, that guy is going to demand double teams.
Right,
sure.
Exactly. And
so,
you give him double teams. What's Miles? Which one? Who you can't double team everybody.
Yeah.
I love the pick. Didn't expect it. Didn't see it coming.
Right.
I really didn't.
Yeah.
But once they made it, I was happy.
Good.
Not to throw down, but you yada-yada'd over the best part. What you guys did in the draft last night was phenomenal. As far as picks,
we
I
gained more draft.
You have
picks.
two number ones next year, and Jacksonville is not going to be a whole lot better.
I was waiting for someone to point that out.
I had to throw it out there because what you stole. You stole.
Yeah, the show.
On live TV, you stole.
The show.
Yeah, so
and you have, I hate seeing you get so many number one picks.
To your point, and once again, did not see, nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
And now what I did kind of, when it happened, because, they came up and they just said, next up, Jacksonville's pick is in. And then I'm like, well, wait, I didn't even hear a trade, Now that does not surprise me. Cleveland always trade. They finally do get 1 or 2, 3, third pick, and they give it away.
Yeah.
We never keep those picks. but I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
And to your point, once I saw what they got for that, I was like, oh,
Good on you.
we gained
great.
tonight. We got the first and third pick.
Definitely some splash. Coach Ant, let's go.
Yeah, let me add to that, because if you guys go back to my original take on the draft, I had mentioned if I was in that position, I would build as many assets as possible, and I would trade the pick. And that's what I had mentioned from day one.
And I looked at him like he was crazy.
But I said if I was going to keep the pick, I go Travis Hunter. I've watched him really closely. I do believe people are going to be surprised on what he does on the offensive and defensive end. It's not going to be a situation where you play as many downs as he did in college. However, we already know in the NFL, and you can be an asset on both sides of the ball, and he is like special. He's not like good on one end and, good on or great on another. He's great on both sides of the ball.
He's going to be your cornerback 1 and your wide receiver 2.
Yeah. Possibly.
And that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. So I was okay if we took Hunter.
Yeah.
But knowing all the holes that we have, I just wanted us to build assets and then let the behind the scenes analytics go with what they felt was best.
Yeah.
That's how I took it.
Yeah. It was the safest bet. And this is why I said I would say you guys are beginning the culture change now. I feel like if they would have brought Hunter there, he's making demands. It makes you look weak as an organization. Where you're succumbing to one player, hey, I'm coming in, I'm playing offense and defense. Now you got kind of a circus going. Maybe
but is that a demand, though?
Oh, it's definitely a demand.
How is that a demand?
It's a demand because in the NFL, you're known to only be a one-position guy. Yeah, they let some guys play both positions around the league before, but coming in, considering where he came from, HBCU, then Colorado, then it's just the
honestly,
social media.
Let me
it's just
stop
the social
you right
media area
because I think
for sure
that's when we talk about narratives being created, right? How is it a demand when he's been proven to be good at both ends? And is it a bad demand?
I didn't say it was a bad demand.
But if I'm a coach and I have an asset that can do multiple different things, why wouldn't I want to explore that? Why wouldn't I want to put that out there? And if I'm a player and I know what I can do on both sides of the ball, I want it to be known like, hey, I want the opportunity to show what I can do on offense and defense. That's my demand to give even more of myself to you. So he's given and he's putting his body in harm's way. He has to study more film on an offensive, defensive end. So that would be like, if you want to do more at your job. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I never said it was a bad thing. I think you're misunderstanding.
How is it a circus then? That's what I'm saying.
Because listen, if it's a demand, because again, you're geared to play one position. But wait a minute.
Okay.
Knowing the Cleveland Browns fans, we all know how their fans are. Look what you did to Deshaun Watson after he was hurt. You know what I mean? Look, if he comes in and he comes in, he fumbles the ball, or he makes a play where he fumbles at the end of the game, and you guys could have got to the Super Bowl. Oh, see, this is why it was just the same Browns. He should have just been playing quarterback. He should have just been.
That goes to what I mentioned about the culture of the fan base, the misery. When you have to block that bull crap out. You know what I'm saying? If I know I have a talented player.
I'm just saying it exists with you guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's bad.
Cleveland made a mature decision last night.
The Browns.
They said
the Browns. But isn't that the same thing we was just talking about? Why Jackson gets all this credit? He gets it happens to everybody. That is not just Browns fans.
But I'm just
that is reality world with.
And it is a reality if you sign Hunter. That's all I'm saying.
With
That's
fans,
all I'm
period,
saying.
though, as fans, you get that guy who's supposed to be the superstar of your team. The minute he goes down or the minute he has a bad day, he gets credit. He's one of the worst ones to get criticized. I mean, from the fans, not just Browns. Everybody's quick to say, you Browns fans, you always – no, not everybody does that. Everybody. We just talked about it at the beginning of the segment with – Jackson, does he deserve that?
I never said it was bad. That's all I'm saying. You guys, I'm just saying that the narrative that can be created from him being there can be that.
But
So,
Cleveland decided not to be part of that circus.
thank
Yeah.
you.
They
And
said-
that's what I'm
they
saying.
said,
They
"You know what?
decided that's a change.
He's the
in my
best player
opinion.
available.
Yeah.
What value can we extract from him, or the theory that we could take him? And they did. They stole. They got a whole bunch of picks for it, and they look fantastic for what they're going to be able to bring in next year, which is a true rebuild. And they're recognizing that they've got to keep building to be able to ultimately load up, coming out of 26.
Yeah. I love stirring up controversy, if you can't tell.
Well, but what my question is, do we think though that we picked up the best DN at that spot?
D tackle.
D tackle. I'm sorry, D tackle.
I say no.
Derek Harmon was a
Elaborate
pretty
on
good
that.
one.
I like him. I like the guy right next to Mason on the same team, Kenneth Grant. I think he was way more disruptive, way more twitchy. That's who I was hoping would fall to 17. But I mean, where did he end up going? I can't remember where he ended up going, but man, that dude he pops.
Yeah.
So not a knock on Graham. He's good.
Yeah.
But notice the AFC North took
All
D tackle, edge rusher, safety.
Mhm.
It's like
Defense.
we're in this defense
Yeah.
wins championship segment.
Yeah.
Is AFC North punishing ourselves?
Mm.
Are we constantly building these teams to be able to compete? Am I building to compete with you? You're building to compete with me, and all around here.
You got it. You
And
got
we
to
beat the crap out of each other.
It's the black and blue division. That's what I say.
You got that division because I feel like if you can win our division, you're a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
And here's another thing.
We're the only division that had all of our teams in the playoffs. The year not last season, but the season before that.
Yeah.
And here's another thing,
and-
and this isn't to gas you up, but everybody's got to build a team to stop Lamar.
Absolutely.
And so defense. That's what you got to build.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
So that's a good segue into my final question real quick before we wrap it up, guys. Is the AFC North the best division in the NFL?
Honestly, yes. Because the top to bottom question, like can Cleveland compete with other divisions? Yes, absolutely. Cincy, 3 points away from beating a lot of teams last year. And, Steelers, always competitive, and it's going to be, and Ravens, the same thing, winning records, led the, league in wins last year. Absolutely. Because we don't have the bottom feeders who are truly just struggle bussing and inept.
Like it used to be, right?
And, it's, I think, top to bottom, it's the strongest division. Are we set up to win Super Bowls? I don't know.
Yeah.
But top to bottom strongest.
Got it.
I agree. The only downfall of it is they beat each other up so much, they don't ever get that 1 or 2 seed. And that, to me, having that 1 or 2 seed is huge.
Well, that to me has something to do with the scheduling also, but I agree.
You
I mean,
know,
Baltimore had it last year.
Yeah.
Baltimore had the one last year.
Yeah.
Just couldn't beat KC at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Finally, you got Browns fans. Is the AFC the best?
I've always
division?
thought the AFC was one of the best.
AFC
toughest.
North.
We've always have been. It's a grind it out, 5 yards in a cloud of dust. We do build each other to beat up on each other. I don't look at that necessarily as a bad thing because at the end of the day, come playoff time, regardless of where you're seated, nobody wants to see any of the teams out of our division. You could be at the bottom and with a 3-win season, nobody wanted to see a 3-win Browns team, because we're only a point away every game too.
Yeah.
And, and honestly, if you're a better team, everybody knows Cincy can put up points, they can score on anybody. Their problem, everybody has a weakness in our division, but the strength you have is good enough to beat anybody in any division. The Ravens is probably pretty much the most balanced. Your guys' offense struggled last year, but
Absolutely.
your defense came, and your defense wasn't a big thing, but it did its job to stop people enough to squeak out those wins.
Yep.
Ours was ugly, but everybody knows our defense is no joke either.
Yeah.
So, I think all divisions fear us, and we're definitely a top division.
Coach Ant, you want one final?
Yeah, I would say yes, but at the same time, and Ryan made a good point. All you guys made a good point. Jason, we beat each other up. And I just think some of the other divisions, when you have some, just a couple easier games, you know what I mean? It helps you get into the playoffs.
Not everybody can have a Jets in their
You know what I mean?
You know what?
You know?
Carolina.
Yeah.
Right. So even your whole preparation going into a week like that, it's completely different. You know, for us, there's no break. You know, every time we play each other, it's like a playoff game with playoff implications. And that's the only thing that I think it's a good thing, but yet at the same time, it's a bad thing. So
when the schedules come out, I always automatically put 3 losses on. I figure we're gonna split.
Yeah.
Right. And so, would they beat each other up? You know.
And everybody has to remember too. You know, everybody talks about, oh, you had the hardest schedule. You know, the reality side of that is every division has whatever your schedule is, and your whole division has that schedule. So if you have the hardest schedule, so do the rest of us. Mm-hmm. The only difference is 2 or 3 games. You know, if you can be first place in our division, you can win it. The last place team has the same schedule as you do. There's maybe 3 teams where you play the first place team in that division. Right. We might play the last place team. Mm-hmm. But overall, 17 games, you know, 14 of those games are the same exact schedule. So between what the teams in our divisions do every season, we always have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. Nobody really looks at that. They look at one team and call them, oh, you have. So if they do, we do too.
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? I don't care what your record is. We got the same schedule because you won 15 games, 14 games. Yeah. We got a 14-game schedule too, right? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
good point. Great point, man. This is a good group, and we have to bring these guys back for another show, man.
Most definitely.
Thank you guys for coming, man. We enjoyed the input, and we'll see you.
You know what? And I would just say we put a stamp on, you know, fans that know some. You know, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yep.